What if the person sleeping next to you for 15 years was actually a total stranger? Sarah thought she knew every habit, every scar, and every secret of her husband Mark, but in exactly 60 minutes, her entire reality was about to go up in flames. Meet Sarah and Mark. To the outside world, they were the solid foundation. Mark was a respected pediatric surgeon, calm, precise, and deeply empathetic. Sarah was a high-end realtor, the kind of woman who could find the beauty in any broken-down house. Their marriage was built on the agreement. They didn't lie, they didn't hide expenses, and they always checked in. Or so Sarah thought. Lately, though, the house had felt different. Mark was working longer shifts at the hospital. He said it was a new surgical residency program he was heading up. He'd come home exhausted, smelling of clinical soap and fatigue. Sarah felt for him. She started leaving his favorite meals in the warmer, leaving him little notes of encouragement. But there was a subtle shift in the air. Mark had started sleeping with his phone under his pillow. He said the hospital's new paging system was too loud and he didn't want to wake her. He stopped looking her in the eyes when they talked about the future.
He's just burnt out. Surgeons give so much of themselves. I just need to be his peace.
Sarah convinced herself that the distance was just the price of his success. She leaned into being the supportive wife, unaware that the man she was supporting was slowly disappearing into a life she hadn't been invited to. The first crack in the foundation appeared on a rainy Thursday night. Mark was on call. Sarah was cleaning out the junk drawer in the kitchen when she found a small leather key fob. It wasn't for their house. It wasn't for their cars. It was a high-tech electronic key for a luxury apartment building downtown, an area Mark had no reason to visit. Her heart did a strange, cold somersault. She told herself it was probably a key for a colleague's place, or maybe a hospital-owned rest suite she hadn't heard about. But why was it hidden under a pile of old batteries and rubber bands? She waited for him to come home to ask, but Mark didn't come home that night. He sent a text, "Emergency surgery. Staying at the hospital bunk tonight. Love you." Sarah looked at the key, then at the text, and for the first time in 15 years, she didn't believe him. Sarah couldn't sleep. The key felt like it was burning a hole in her palm. At 2 a.m., she did something she had never done. She got into her car and drove to the hospital. She walked into the surgical wing. She asked the night nurse for Dr. Mark Sterling.
Dr. Sterling? He's been on sabbatical for 3 weeks, ma'am. He's not on the schedule until next month.
Sarah's world tilted. Sabbatical? Mark had been leaving the house every morning in scrubs. He'd been coming home with stories of difficult patients and long surgeries. What happened next was a descent into a nightmare. Sarah drove to the address associated with the luxury key fob. It was a building called the Meridian. She used the key. It worked. The elevator rose to the 12th floor. Every floor felt like a mile. Her mind was racing. Was there another woman? A secret family? Was he a gambler? But then she reached apartment 1204. She hesitated at the door. She heard music. Classical, Mark's favorite. She opened the door, expecting to see a mistress. Instead, she saw a gallery. Mark was there. He wasn't in scrubs. He was in a paint-stained apron holding a palette. He looked younger. He looked alive.
Mark, what is this?
Mark froze. The palette hit the floor with a wet thud. The empathy Sarah had always loved in him turned into a raw, jagged fear. Mark, voice actor, voice shaking. "I couldn't do it anymore, Sarah. The surgery, the blood, the death. Every time I lost a patient, a piece of me died. I tried to tell you, but you were so proud of the surgeon. You loved the foundation. You didn't love the artist." He opened a drawer and pulled out a stack of documents. They weren't just paintings. He had quit his job months ago. He had used our shared savings to lease this life. "Mark, I didn't have an affair with a person. I had an affair with a version of myself that didn't have to carry the weight of the world. I lied because I didn't think you'd stay for a man who failed his calling."
You didn't fail your calling, Mark. You failed us. You let me live in a lie for 6 months while you built a world where I didn't exist.
The suspense broke into a devastating clarity. It wasn't about another woman. It was about a man who had become so suffocated by his own success that he thought he had to burn his entire life down just to breathe. He had built a double life not to hurt her, but because he was terrified that the real him wasn't enough to keep her. He hadn't left her. He had been trying to find a way to love her without the scalpel in his hand. But the cost of that search was the trust she had given him for 15 years. That night didn't end in a divorce, but it didn't end in a hug either. Mark gave up the double life. He didn't go back to surgery, but he didn't stay a secret artist either. They had to sell the perfect house. They moved into a place that needed work, a place where Sarah could be the realtor and Mark could be the man who painted the walls. They had to rebuild from the dirt up. The solid foundation was gone, replaced by something much more fragile, but finally something real. Sarah learned that you can live with someone for a lifetime and never truly see the parts of them they are most ashamed of. Mark learned that you don't have to be a hero to be loved. You just have to be present. We often hide our true selves from our partners because we're afraid the reality won't match the expectation. We build double lives to protect them or to protect our own pride. But a marriage can survive a career change, a financial loss, or even a tragedy. What it cannot survive is a secret. Real connection isn't about being perfect. It's about being brave enough to be seen in your messiest, most honest state. Mark lied for months to protect his hero image, but the truth almost cost him everything. If your partner revealed they had been living a secret life, even one that didn't involve another person, would you be able to trust them again? Let me know in the comments below.